Hello, welcome to Board Game Barrister, our local game shop in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It is Tuesday, which means today we got to play a game, and today that game was Star Wars The Clone Wars, which is a pandemic system game. If you ever played Pandemic or any of the pandemic games, this will seem familiar, but if you've ever played Star Wars, it's a standalone game and will be awesome for you too. We're going to talk you through everything we thought after playing our first game. I'm here with my fellow barristers, Ian and Glenn, and before we talk about those things, we are going to talk about how the game actually plays. Welcome to Star Wars The Clone Wars. In this game, we're going to play as the Jedi heroes who are facing off against one of the big villains in the Star Wars universe. When the game starts, we're going to choose that villain from among Grievous, Maul, Count Dooku, and Asajj Ventress. We chose Grievous today. And then we're going to choose our heroes and try to save the galaxy. So our goal in the game is to complete our deck of mission cards, and then when we've completed all those, we can have our final confrontation with the villain. Each mission card takes place on a location. You can see my little mission marker here up on Nal Hutta, and it will have requirements for when a Jedi arrives there and attempts to do that mission. Attempting a mission or fighting droids on the planets that we're moving through all takes place on this die here. So when we roll that die, we're looking for good results like these. Each of those symbols counts as a defeated droid that we're going to remove from the table if we're attacking, or if we're attempting a mission as part of the value we need to get to complete that mission. So if I rolled those two results on that die when I was trying to complete this mission, I met 2 out of the 6 value I need to complete the mission successfully, so me and the other Jedi on this planet are going to have to come up with 4 more of the blue transport symbols between us to actually complete that mission. Where do we find those symbols? Well, we're all going to have a squad of cards out in front of us that each have a symbol, and these represent the vehicles and troops and allies that we have helping us on this quest to save the galaxy. So if I've got an acclimator on my squad, I can use its ability on my turn to give me some extra movement, but if I haven't used it, it actually counts as a blue symbol and can help me complete this mission. Squad cards also matter because if we ever see this other damage symbol on the die roll or on any card, that means our Jedi's taking a damage, which means we lose one of our squad members. We'll spend our time moving around the galaxy, defeating droids, completing missions, but at the end of every single one of our turns, we have to do 2 things that are going to represent the villain's schemes and the droid armies invading planets around the galaxy. The first of those things is to draw a villain card. Each of the villains has their own 6-card deck that represent all the schemes and machinations they're going to be doing in the galaxy, so we'll draw one of those and they'll have terrible effects on us and our board. And the second is to look at our invasion track up here, which always has a token on a number. That number is the number of planets that are going to get invaded this turn. So at the beginning of the game, when that number is a 2, we're going to draw the top 2 planet cards, Cyrano and Alderaan, and those are the 2 planets where a new droid is going to show up and invade this turn. Now, droids piling up and invading is actually the main way we're going to lose this game. If we ever have a planet that has 3 droids on it and it gets invaded again, then it gets blockaded instead. Now, a blockade means we can't fight any of the droids or villains on that planet, and we also can't complete missions there, but it's also going to increase our threat track by 1 over on this side of the board, and if our threat track ever reaches the 7th value with the Emperor on it there, we lose the game. So we're going to have to decide when the right time is to fight those droid armies, when to try to complete our missions, and try to track down our villain before time runs out. Alright, so we just finished our game. We played with 3 players today, which felt great, and it plays all the way up to 5 players, which is novel. The original Pandemic was a up to 4-player game, so this one having the option to play 2 all the way up to 5, even 1 player if you want to, is awesome. And the game was quick. We played in less than an hour. That included learning some of it. We had a basic idea of how it played, but we learned the game, we did setup, and we were done playing within an hour. So that felt awesome as well, because it feels like a medium weight cooperative strategy game, and we were able to get through it pretty quick, so that was cool.
So, putting aside the theming, which is obviously great for the game, I mean, it's a Star Wars, Clone Wars game, and I'm a huge fan of the TV series and the movie. There are a couple things that I really like about it that are a little bit different than the original Pandemic game if you've played that one. So first of all, every time you play, you've got a different villain that you're facing off against, which I think each one of them has their very own feel to it, and they each have their own little deck of cards that they play with, and it feels like the villain from the show. We played against Grievous, and his retreating and moving around and spawning stuff in different planets that we weren't near felt very much like what Grievous does in the show. So I really like that there's going to be a very different feel every time you play it based on your villain. And everybody's got to pick a different hero that's going to have special abilities to it every time they play as well. And each one of those felt very different than each other. Each one of us played almost a different strategy of what our character was good at and was doing around the board.
I'm still going to go for it. I take some damage,
Oh, that's big.
Big.
Yes.
The mission is gone.
Mission completed. Only got 1 left till the final. All right, that was a good turn.
Villain?
Yep.
I mean, Ahsoka is the best person in the
Machinations.
universe.
No. Why on the mission planet Orange?
Alright, I know where I'm going. We're fighting. This is a
Fight 'em.
fight.
Huh. Oh, that's bad.
That's not great.
That's
I
really
have the
trouble.
damage for it.
Yeah.
That's cute.
All right, so here's what I'm going to do.
Here,
Yeah,
full kill.
that's what I'm going to do. Here, free action, and then attack with the dice. Oh, please.
a good
2.
fighting
All
setup
right,
anyway.
and then I'll block a damage.
Well, I'm going to talk about the squad cards.
Yeah.
So these things, one, it fits the field because the Jedi don't always go off and do everything on their own. They have people who go with them and gear and stuff like that. And these things are great. And you have several different types. You've got your armor to prevent damage. You've got your 2 different types of clone troopers that you can use, and transportation, and then the green cards, which were really cool. These are your allies that you can use. I love the fact that one, of course, it is the names of the people. I got Rex.
Yeah.
So I was all set. That's all I cared about for the whole game. I don't care if we lost. I got Rex in my hand. There he is. But these things have 2 purposes. Is one, you can use them for the ability that's on them by exhausting them, turning them to the side. It's also when you take damage. The Jedi themselves don't die. You don't take physical damage. You're discarding these cards when you take damage. So I took damage. Oh, sorry there, kicks. You're gone. Stacks, you're gone. These are spendable resources. The clones, I mean, they're there to soak up laser blasts. That's why they exist. And just how you can use the cards. The missions require specific cards, and the way you can use them and kind of build yourself up and specialize in certain areas, or try to be a little more broad. I went for a little more broad strategy, but both Andy and Ian went more of a specific strategy. So that way, I could kind of go in where I needed to fill in, but they could be the spearhead on some of the missions as well, because Andy was really good for on stealth and on transport a little bit too.
Yeah, and I like how they still call it your hand of cards, but it's really acts more as like a play area in front of you that everyone else can see and interact with, because they're permanent cards you can use over and over and over again until they die to a blaster blast or whatever else. So
Blaster blast.
Well, as Glenn mentioned, we lost, which we love doing on our first playthrough of a cooperative game, and mission successful, we did it. And we got close, so it always feels great when you get kind of close, you made a couple mistakes, you feel like you could do better next time, and that's exactly how this went. The game has a really cool pace in that you're going to build a mission deck, and that's your main difficulty, is the number of missions you have to complete in the course of the game, and you're kind of choosing when to go save planets and when to actually approach your own missions and get stuff done to get closer to the end of the game, how that race goes, how fast you should try to get through those missions. The thing we weren't expecting, we were wrong, we were wrong. Because we thought, we're going to try to finish those missions and just finish the game before the game can finish us. And we were not expecting, when we flipped General Grievous to his finale side, which is when you finally finish the missions and you're confronting the villain at the end of the game, that would actually be more like the second half of the game. He had 4 more missions on the back of him waiting for us. And we weren't able to get them done in time. The blockades built up too fast, and we lost the galaxy.
Yep. We were over.
It was a real bummer, yeah.
Yep. All right, so
Does that flip the finale immediately?
Boost.
Wow, that says a lot.
Finale is going to take place on Utapau.
Oh, no.
Place Grievous
That makes
and
sense.
both mission markers on Utapau. You have to complete these missions in order.
No. Oh, yeah, we got to sneak in.
But to know that we can expect an actual big challenge on the back of that card and not just rush into it unprepared is a really cool feeling, and there's going to be this surprise that could lose you the game every time if you're not just on your toes and being mentally agile the whole time you're playing. So the pacing was cool. Alright, that about does it for Star Wars: The Clone Wars. We had a great time playing it. Obviously there's a ton more to say because there's a lot in this game. Just play it yourself and find out. It's all really cool and we had a great time with it. If you want to watch us play a new game every single Tuesday, that's awesome. You can do that just by hitting that subscribe button, and we'll see you there. Like and subscribe, all that good stuff, and we will see you next week. Thanks for watching.